there's two big contract disputes, issues. I should say three, although I feel like Nick Bosa, I don't think he's leaving. They already said they're not going to trade him. I think that would be highly unlikely. The two that are really interesting and tricky are the Chris Jones situations and the Mike Evans situations. Both guys, perennial all-stars, two guys that are likely bound for the not likely, they're both bound for the Hall of Fame, still both in the midst of their primes, and now they're both in contract issues, and who knows? Could they both be dealt? We'll see what happens. I discussed Chris Jones last week, but this one is going to be about Mike Evans because the Mike Evans situation was not talked about a lot, and then all of a sudden this weekend we hear a report from his agent saying that they're going to give a deadline for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to see whether or not they're going to extend him or whatever the situation might be, and then if not, he'll play out potentially his last year as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. So that leads us with the question then. If Tampa Bay does not want to keep him long term, which from a sake of having a franchise player that's there his whole career, that'd be cool, but they're nowhere near competing. They're not going to be very good. They'll be middle of the pack probably or something like that back end, but they're not a contender to any extent. Get value for Mike Evans would be a prime great idea to do that at this point in time. So here's my top 5 teams. I'm going to say the first two that I left out of the top 5 that are just a little bit peeking in there on the back end of it. That is the Chicago Bears and the Detroit Lions. Both these teams have the financial resources to be able to acquire Mike Evans. And the Lions, I could see a little bit more likely than the Bears. The Bears are still younger. Giving Justin Fields a veteran presence at wide receiver would be nice. They could obviously still use some more upgrades, although I do not mind the group that they have right now. They definitely could use upgrades, but I don't mind DJ Moore. Having Darnell Mooney at number 2. Cole Kmet's not bad at all. Solid pieces there. The Detroit Lions, I think that they're a team that will make an NFC playoff run, potentially win a couple games in the playoffs. We'll see what happens there. But for them, I absolutely love Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think he is a franchise caliber wide receiver. And you have some other solid pieces around them, Jahmyr Gibbs and whatnot. But here's my top 5. At number 5, I've got the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns have enough money to be able to acquire him. You have Deshaun Watson, who I still think is a very, very, very capable quarterback that I think is going to be good. Now, obviously, off the court, off the field stuff, that's another story. But the situation that Deshaun Watson, you already got Amari Cooper out there. You added Mike Evans, David Njoku. You got Nick Chubb in the backfield with yourself. A decent line over there. That could be a very interesting situation. I would not mind that at all. I could easily see the Browns picking that up and giving Deshaun Watson another weapon like Mike Evans would be huge. Number 4 on my list, I have the New England Patriots. Now, we heard rumors, and I'll say this is a little bit off topic, the whole Juju Smith-Schuster thing about his knee being ready to explode or whatever that report was this morning. It's a little bit troublesome to me. Not even the fact of if that is true or not, just the fact that gets reported. I don't know why that type of report would even come out, how people would even have that information or data to begin with. So I'm not really buying too much stock into it. I know Juju already refuted that statement, but the fact of the matter, he is your wide receiver 1, and he's not bad. When you have Patrick Mahomes and you have a guy in Travis Kelce who truly is the wide receiver 1, if we're being honest, he can be that. In a Mac Jones situation, truly as the number 1 weapon, that's a little bit more debatable. But they do have some other decent pieces behind them. But the fact of the matter is that they do need a wide receiver 1 badly. And Mike Evans is clearly a wide receiver 1. He would be huge for them. I think his philosophy, his mindset would mesh well with Bill Belichick in that system as well. So I have New England Patriots at number 4. At number 3, the New York Giants. I put them at number 3, and here's why. Just this morning, as I mentioned earlier, Daniel Jones restructured his contract. They freed up $6.125 million, if I'm not mistaken, on those numbers. Having that extra flexibility has to be for something. You're not just going to create that flexibility at this point in the offseason for nothing, just to save money. No. There's a reason there. They're going all in around Daniel Jones, around Saquon Barkley, around Andrew Thomas and the offensive line, around some of the pieces they've got in store on that roster. Then you add Mike Evans there. That gives him a true wide receiver 1. Darren Waller is a great weapon. They pulled in a tight end for themselves this upcoming season. I think he's going to be special out there once again if he can stay healthy. But you've got some other decent wide receiver depth pieces. Where all of a sudden, if you add Mike Evans into the New York Giants, then you've got some really solid depth pieces behind them where they all fill out to number 2, 3, 4, and so on. And you got a decent wide receiver group there, along with Darren Waller and Saquon Barkley and company. So that's why I have the New York Giants number 3. Number 2, the Kansas City Chiefs. I think when you talk about the Kansas City Chiefs, they can obviously get the job done without Patrick Mahomes. There's no debate about that. Or without a wide receiver. They have Patrick Mahomes. Any wide receiver can obviously be decent out there. But let's just be honest. If we give Patrick Mahomes another wide receiver 1, that would be special. Now, do they do it? I'm not sure because obviously Mike Evans is going to come with the paycheck. You're going to have to pay him a lot of money. And quite frankly, for whatever reason, Kansas City Chiefs just do not want to pay their these guys a lot of money. Patrick Mahomes, they make him the highest paid, and rightfully so, and obviously he's now falling down that list a little bit. Kelsey takes a lot of hometown discounts. But Tyreek Hill, they had no business in even deciding to even want to pay Tyreek Hill his money. They trade him off. Chris Jones, I think it's every minute I feel like we're getting closer and closer to just hearing the official thing that they're going to try trading Chris Jones and he's going to be dealt. At this point, I don't think he's going to come back unless a miracle happens all of a sudden. But I think we're getting closer and closer to that point. We've seen this with countless other guys. They don't want to pay these guys a lot of money. So from the sake of will the Chiefs actually do it, I don't know if they belong at number 2. But for me, in terms of fit, in terms of just what could happen and could the Chiefs make money for it, absolutely. So Mike Evans with Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and then you have Kadarius Toney for whatever amount of games he ends up playing. You have Sky Moore. You have the other guys that fill out. Marquez Valdes-Scantling at 2, 3, 4 depth on the depth chart on the wide receiver. Isaiah Pacheco, you got a great little group there with, of course, Patrick Mahomes. You would be obvious favorite once again. But at number 1, that leaves me with the New York Jets. I saw a list a little bit ago. Didn't even have New York Jets on that list. The fact of the matter is the New York Jets have money. Remember, Aaron Rodgers took a massive discount this season to be able to play on this roster, and you could potentially add in Mike Evans along with Garrett Wilson. Remember, Corey Davis just retired just a little bit ago. They've got money. Now, I know there's rumors. Could Devontae Adams potentially be the guy there? That would obviously be the number 1 option if you do that. David Bakhtiari, we don't know. Could that be an option? Of course. But the fact of the matter is that there is money there, and there is a potential to add another weapon in that system. And if the New York Jets get Mike Evans, that would be I would not put them above the Miami Dolphins at wide receiver group. Obviously, Tyreek Hill and Waddle, I think, is number 1. It's not even debatable. However, they're certainly up there. And then you have Aaron Rodgers throwing them the ball, a very special group. So that is my top 5 destination points and places for Mike Evans to potentially go.